Hi, everyone. Here I'm going to try to take you through some of the basic ideas and goals of this class to get you on your feet, make sure you understand what we're going to be about, because ethics can be a bit strange. But as the slide here says, it's something that's already with us all the time. Whether you're saying, boy, that's not right, my friend shouldn't have done that to me, or I wish the government would change what it's doing, or that person got away with something, or I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my life. All of these kinds of issues have to do with what we call ethics. So in the class, we're going to have a few basic goals. We're going to study how human beings think about ethics, trying to understand some of the basic styles and methods. We're going to be thinking about ourselves, and we're going to be challenging ourselves and one another to ask, why do you care about that? Why do you believe that that is right or wrong? And do you have good evidence and good reasons for that? So we're going to learn about ourselves, and we're going to learn that it's not just everyone's opinion. There are different tools that we all can use to think better about ethics. So what is ethics? Our chapter 1 in the textbook will give us a definition, but it has to do with how we should live, right? So a lot of disciplines like history and psychology describe what we do and what we have done, but this is what we should do. So even if human beings lie a lot, that doesn't mean we should lie a lot. So how should we live? What does it mean to live well? What's the difference between right and wrong? And we are doing this all the time. You're constantly making judgments. You're either aware of them or you're not, but you're making judgments about right and wrong, better and worse, what's fair, what's not fair, etc. And of course, if you're doing something all the time, it would be helpful to know that you're doing it well, that you're not making errors, that you're not assuming things, you're not thinking poorly, and that you're thinking ethically in a sound way. So that's what this class is about. So our lives, our decisions, again, the ones we think about, the ones we don't think about, are already driven by what we believe or feel to be ethical. For example, when you do something and you feel shame, you did it. It's a fact that you did it. But the fact that you feel shame or guilt means that you are holding yourself to a certain standard of how you should live, and you failed to do that. Similarly, when others fail and we criticize them and we try to correct the world in some way, we're saying this is the way the world is, but it should be different. That's ethics. So we're going to be dealing with values, term, an idea that all of you are very familiar with, of course. And there are many kinds of values. So I value a good, delicious cheeseburger, but that's not really an ethical thing. It's not something I should or should not value. But ethical values have to do with those things in human life that we expect ourselves and others to care about and to protect. And we think people should care about these things. Again, ethics is about how we should live. So, for example, the right to free speech, not harming others. You can read all of these. Right? These are common ethical values that people get very passionate about. People will stand up and take a strong stand to protect and honor these kinds of values. And a lot of this class is going to be asking, which of these values are worth defending and worth living for, and which might be less important. So, in terms of rights and responsibilities, this is a general category of the kinds of values that we have. And notice that if you say, I have the right to free speech, that should mean that you respect other people's right to free speech. Right? So, there's a right and a responsibility. But that's a question, or raises a question, what can we legitimately expect to receive in the way of rights? So, do I have a right to a free house? Do I have a right to a job? In our society, we say no. Other societies might say, well, yeah, we should give people the right to those kinds of things. The second category of values have to do with needs and wants. So, as opposed to what I have a right to, free speech is not a need that I have in the same way that food is a need, right? And safety is a need. So, if we're going to live an ethical life, most of us agree that we need to try to help people meet their basic needs. Well, what are those basic needs, and what responsibilities do we have to help people receive them? A third, somewhat different set of values has to do with character. And these are the traits, the habits, the kinds of people that we should want to become. So some of us are lazy, some of us are hardworking, some of us are courageous, some of us are a bit of a coward. Right? And we all have different mixes of these things. Well, we're going to see that this matters, right? That if we have the wrong idea about the kind of character that we should develop in ourselves, we're going to become unethical people or people who fail at ethics. And then finally, categories of interdependence or relationships. Human beings are profoundly social, and it's really an illusion to think that we can be these individuals who don't need others. That's not the way human beings are built. So, in addition to my individual needs and my rights and responsibilities, there's a profound question about how we live together. What does a healthy, strong relationship look like? And these will be the four sets of values we largely examine in this class because they capture most of the kinds of things that we care about, the kinds of things that motivate us to get up and try to change the world, whether the small world of our friends and family, our community, or even the globe itself. And we will dig into all of these sets of values carefully throughout the semester. So we're going to be looking at our four basic ethical theories, which are related to these values. But as an introduction, I thought we should spend a bit of time just looking at some basic terms. And again, none of these are going to be new to you, which is a great thing about an ethics class. We're not studying anything in a sense you're not already familiar with. But what we're going to do is help you understand those things that are already close to you. So the first term we'll look at is responsiveness. And this has to do with ethics in general, but it also has to do with how you should conduct yourself in this class. And really, what this means is you can't learn about values, you can't learn about right and wrong, you can't learn about this kind of topic in the way you might learn about chemistry or something else, because this is a topic that demands your decisions. Ultimately, you are going to have to decide which of these values and which of these ideas are yours. So you have to be able to respond to what other people say, whether it's the author, the professor, or other students. At the same time, this kind of responsiveness not only teaches you, in fact, it's the only way you're going to learn, but it is a way of practicing ethics. It's a way of demonstrating that you value other people and their opinions by listening to them, not necessarily agreeing with them, but by responding to them in a way that shows, hey, I've been listening to you, I've tried to understand you, and this is what I think about that. So another related term would be that of arguments, right? And of course, we think of arguments as people yelling and shouting at each other, but in ethics, an argument is a way of explaining your ideas to other people so that they will follow your reasoning and will hopefully come to agree with you, or at least say, you know what, I don't quite agree, but I really understand where you're coming from because you showed me your argument. You showed me, you laid it out, the reasoning, which takes us, of course, to reasoning. So all of us have many, many values. lots of opinions and feelings about right and wrong, etc. So that's all there in the mix. But studying ethics is an attempt to get us all to step back and say, okay, my opinion on gun control is this, my opinion on abortion is this, my opinion on taxes is this. Do I have good reasons? Do I have solid evidence? Can I give a good argument for why others should agree with me and why I should continue to have these opinions? So we all say this or that about ethics. The question of the class really is, again and again, for us in different ways, using different tools, to ask ourselves the question, can we explain? Can we give good reasons? Can we demonstrate why our views are solid and relevant and important? Because once again, we're talking about how we should live. And if we can't get that right, if we can't get at least some